Have you ever felt like you're living the same day, the same patterns, over and over again, just with slightly different faces and settings? You change cities, you find new friends, you start new jobs, but somehow you end up in the same emotional cycles, same arguments, same heartbreaks, same doubts. Why does life seem to loop? It's not just bad luck or fate, it's something deeper, something rooted in your consciousness. Today we're diving into a philosophical and metaphysical journey through the nature of repetition, the hidden architecture of the mind, and the mysteries of reality itself, drawing on the insights of thinkers like Jacobo Grinberg and Neville Goddard. Because what if life isn't repeating you? What if you are repeating life? Imagine a wheel turning in silence. It's not loud, it's not violent, but it spins relentlessly. That wheel is your unconscious mind. Most people believe they're making conscious choices, but according to many philosophers and mystics, your day-to-day reality is largely a projection of your subconscious patterns, your beliefs, assumptions, and unresolved wounds. This is why two people can live in the same city, have the same job, and yet experience radically different worlds. It's not the world that's different, it's the lens. Jacobo Grinberg, the brilliant Mexican neurophysiologist and psychologist, proposed something called the synergic theory. He argued that there is no external reality out there. There is only a field of potential, and what we perceive as the world is actually a structured hallucination, shaped by our neural patterns and belief systems. To Grinberg, the brain wasn't just an observer of reality, it was a sculptor of it. This changes everything, because if your mind is sculpting reality, then the loops in your life aren't happening to you, they're happening through you. Neville Goddard, a mystic and lecturer from the mid-20th century, had a similar but more esoteric take. He said, "The world is yourself pushed out. Your assumptions about love, money, identity, worth, aren't just private thoughts. They are blueprints, scripts, codes that reality follows like an obedient actor. If you assume people will betray you, you'll meet the perfect characters to prove you right. If you assume life is hard, you'll never run out of proof." This is not magic. This is consciousness folding in on itself. Neville taught that imagination is God, not in the poetic sense, but in the literal sense. The imagination, when persisted in, creates reality, not instantly, but persistently. So when your life begins to feel like déjà vu, like a script you've read 100 times, ask yourself, what beliefs am I recycling? What assumptions am I rehearsing each day? You're not stuck because life hates you. You're stuck because consciousness repeats what it does not transform. Repetition is not punishment, it's a mirror, a teacher. If life keeps sending you the same kind of relationships, the same internal struggles, the same emptiness, maybe it's not to hurt you, maybe it's to wake you. It's reality tapping you on the shoulder, asking, "Do you see now?" Every pattern is a message in disguise. Every loop is a forgotten memory of something you once believed about yourself. And until that belief is seen, really seen, it will keep returning, with different clothes, different names, but the same lesson. Grinberg believed that by altering the structure of perception through meditation, altered states, or deep introspection, we could break the loop. The field would shift. Neville believed you could change the pattern by changing your inner state, assume a new identity, feel a new reality, and watch the world conform. Both were pointing at the same truth. Reality is reactive. It's not first cause. You are. It's easy to feel like a victim of your life, but what if your pain is just a shadow of a belief? What if your suffering is a compass, not a curse? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You are not powerless. You are unaware. We live inside our assumptions like fish in water. But once you begin to question the pattern, once you become aware of the repetition, the loop begins to weaken. You can change the story, but only if you see the script. This is where Neville's idea of living in the end becomes revolutionary. He taught that instead of reacting to reality, you must embody the state of the desired reality, even before there's any physical evidence. If you want peace, feel peace. If you want love, assume you are loved. If you want to be free, Think and act as someone who already is, not to fake it, but to claim it. Because your state is the seed, and reality is just the harvest. Jacobo Grinberg mysteriously disappeared in 1994, no trace, no explanation. Many believe he transitioned into another realm of consciousness. Others think he was silenced for knowing too much. But maybe in a symbolic way, he just disappeared from the illusion. Because once you realize that reality is malleable, once you see the loop for what it is, you no longer play the same game. You stop reacting, you start choosing. You wake up, and that's terrifying at first. Because freedom is uncomfortable. It means letting go of old identities, familiar pain, and comforting limits. But it also means you get to write a new story, not from control, but from awareness. Life isn't out to get you, it's out to show you. Until you change the lens, the picture stays the same. So don't be afraid of the loop. Don't fight it. Study it. Decode it. Thank it. And then when you're ready, step off the wheel. Because when consciousness wakes up, the script no longer repeats. And for the first time you don't just live. You create. Let's be honest. Part of us doesn't want to break the loop. Not because we enjoy the pain, but because we've made peace with it. It's familiar, predictable, safe. We know how to be the victim. We know how to be heartbroken, overlooked, stressed. We've worn those roles like well-fitted clothes. So when life offers us a new script, one where we're powerful, free and responsible, we flinch. Because freedom is overwhelming. Who are you when you're no longer repeating your suffering? There's a psychological term for this: homeostasis. The mind wants to stay consistent. Even if your beliefs are self-destructive, they feel like home. And anything that threatens to change them feels like death. That's why people will sabotage good relationships, abandon their dreams, or return to toxic cycles. Because deep down those things fit the image they've been repeating all along. If you don't believe you're worthy, the universe won't fight you. It will play along, not as punishment, but as co-creation. Because here's the secret: your beliefs don't reflect reality, they generate it. So how do you stop the loop? You don't force it, you observe it. Pay attention to the emotional signatures of your life. What patterns do you keep bumping into? What kind of people show up again and again, playing different roles but striking the same chord? This is your unconscious mind at work, not your enemy, but your echo. Start with awareness. Neville said, "You rise in consciousness by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled." That doesn't mean you deny your current reality. It means you stop worshipping it. If you feel unloved, don't fight it. Feel it fully. But then ask, what would I feel if I were loved? Sit in that feeling. Live in it. Not as a fantasy, but as a rehearsal for a new reality. This inner shift is the work. Grinberg's research showed that altering perception through focused attention could rewire the brain's electromagnetic fields, which means consciousness, when concentrated, doesn't just think, it sculpts. You don't have to fix your life. You have to transform the lens you see it through. Because the outer world doesn't change first, you do. Here's a gentle truth. You will encounter the same lessons again, even after growth, even after insight. But don't mistake repetition for failure. The universe doesn't work in straight lines, it works in spirals. You return to the same themes: abandonment, scarcity, identity, but each time from a higher level of consciousness. It's like walking up a spiral staircase. From above, it looks like you're in the same place, but you're not. You're seeing the old problem with new eyes. That's growth. You still feel fear, but now you respond, not react. You still feel anger, but now you understand it before it controls you. You still feel doubt, but now you question it instead of obeying it. This is how the loop becomes a path, not a prison. But this isn't just personal. Societies repeat too. History loops: wars, ideologies, empires, revolutions, over and over again. Why? Because collective consciousness is also stuck in patterns. Nations are built on shared beliefs, collective traumas, and cultural assumptions. And like individuals, societies will keep repeating those patterns until they become aware of them. Jacobo Grinberg warned that our disconnection from the true nature of consciousness, the field of infinite potential, was humanity's greatest limitation. He believed that if we could synchronize not just individual minds but collective perception, we could literally change the fabric of reality. Imagine a world where people no longer act from inherited trauma, but from chosen awareness. A world where competition isn't survival, but collaboration. But for that to happen, the individual must awaken first, because collective change starts with a single decision to see. Let me ask you something radical. Who are you without your patterns? Not your name, not your trauma, not your coping mechanisms or projections. Who is left when the loop stops spinning? Silence, possibility. That's the moment most people run from. Because when the noise dies down, when the drama disappears, when the loop dissolves, there's nothing left but you, your presence, your awareness, your raw, unfiltered consciousness. And that can be terrifying because we've spent lifetimes hiding behind our stories. But that stillness, that awareness, is where creation begins. Grinberg once wrote, "Reality is not out there. It is a reflection of the interaction between the observer and the observed." Neville said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live." Both pointed to the same truth. You are the loop, you are the dreamer, and you are the key. You are not stuck, you are rehearsing, and at any moment, you can choose a new role, not by force, but by recognition. The loops will continue until you recognize the lesson within them, and then quietly, without fanfare, the pattern breaks, the actors change, the scene shifts, and you step into a version of life you never knew existed, because it never could exist, until you did. So next time life feels like a repetition, don't escape it, engage with it, trace it back to its source, question the belief it came from, feel the identity behind it, and then gently, powerfully, rewrite the script. Because life doesn't change when the world changes, life changes when you do. There's something strange about memory. We treat it as a record of the past, but in reality, it shapes the present. Jacobo Grinberg believed that memory isn't just stored data, it's active, a living part of the perceptual field. That means when you remember pain, betrayal, or failure, you don't just recall it, you re-experience it. You feel the same chemistry, the same contraction, the same fear. You relive the loop. So here's the paradox. Your past only has power because you keep reviving it, feeding it, rehearsing it. But what if memory was not a graveyard, but clay? What if, instead of replaying what was, you used memory as a portal into what could be? Try this. Recall a moment of true presence. Maybe it was brief, a sunrise, a laugh, a hug where time stopped. Sink into it. Let it color your body. Now ask, what if this became your foundation? Because your memory is a filter, and what you focus on, you amplify. Choose carefully. Even healing can become a loop. Have you noticed? Some people turn inner work into another identity, always processing, always unraveling, always fixing, but never arriving. Why? Because healing offers a sense of purpose, a role, a narrative. And once again, we're back in repetition. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need to be completely healed to be free. You just need to stop identifying with your wounds. Healing is beautiful, necessary, but don't let it become your new prison. Don't become addicted to the process, and forget the point, which is to live, to create, to play, to experience the world from wholeness, not just study it from your pain. The loop ends when you remember. You're not broken, you're becoming. Not all repetition is a trap. Some loops are sacred, like breath, like a heartbeat, like the orbit of planets or the cycle of seasons. These aren't dysfunctions, they're rhythms, harmonies. So what's the difference? Repetitive pain drains you, repetitive truth grounds you. You can build your life on a pattern of fear, or on a pattern of love. When you choose presence, over and over again, when you return to your body, your breath, your center, when you choose to respond with kindness instead of reaction, that's repetition too. But it doesn't imprison you, it liberates you, it becomes your song. So the question is never just, what's repeating?
Is this repetition aligned with who I want to become? In many ancient traditions, repetition wasn't something to escape, it was a rite of passage. The shaman repeats chants, the monk repeats mantras, the dancer repeats sacred movements, not to numb the mind, but to open it. Through repetition, the ego dissolves, the story thins out, time melts away, and what's left is pure consciousness, untouched, unchained. Grinberg's synergy field hinted at this. He believed there's a deeper intelligence beneath all perception, a unified field we can access when we dissolve the illusion of separation, and the only way there is through the loop, but not blindly, not in despair. You walk it with reverence, awareness, love, because you're not stuck, you're being initiated. Each repetition, a refinement, each cycle, a deeper truth, until the loop isn't something you break, it's something you transcend. Maybe the goal was never to escape repetition. Maybe the goal was to become so aware, so conscious, that even when life repeats you don't. Maybe the scenes stay the same, but you show up differently, more open, more whole, more here. And maybe that's what freedom really is. Not perfect circumstances, not endless novelty, but presence. When the loop returns and you meet it not with fear, but with grace. When you can say, I've been here before, but I am not who I was, then you've won, not by escaping the pattern, but by outgrowing it. Life will repeat until it becomes sacred. Your job isn't to escape the pattern, it's to embody it, until you become the one who chooses, again and again, but this time, new. We talk about growth as if it's linear. Step 1, Step 2, enlightenment, but real transformation is spiral-shaped. You revisit the same wound, but from a higher place. You return to old fears, but now with a wider heart. You see the same challenge, but now through wiser eyes. This is the illusion of progress, that life should always look forward, never backward. But consciousness doesn't move in a straight line. It deepens, it circles, it descends into the dark to rise again. So don't be discouraged when old patterns resurface. It doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're refining. It means the spiral has brought you here again, to love what you once feared. That's not regression, that's alchemy. There is a place beyond thought, not below it, not the absence of thinking, but the space in which all thought arises. Call it stillness, silence, God, the void. It's what every mystic eventually points to, what every practice eventually dissolves into. Grinberg hinted at this with his theory of the synergy field, that behind the cognitive structure of perception, there is pure awareness, not content, not memory, not emotion, just being. And here's what's profound. This stillness doesn't erase your problems, it simply makes them irrelevant. Because in stillness, identity melts, time disappears, the loop dissolves, and what's left is truth. Not the truth you argue about, the truth you remember, like a sound you forgot you could hear. So when the loop becomes unbearable, stop chasing answers, sit, breathe, listen. The silence already knows. We spend so much time trying to think our way out of pain, but thought is clever. It just builds a prettier trap. The body, though, the body tells the truth. It contracts when something isn't right. It expands when you're aligned. It tightens when you lie to yourself. It softens when you come home. So many of us live in loops because we're disembodied, cut off from the truth of our own flesh. We override our instincts. We ignore the ache. We numb the signals. But your body is ancient, honest. It remembers everything you've tried to forget. So here's the invitation. Come back. Not through the mind, but through the breath, through movement, touch, presence. Your body is not a burden, it's the compass out of the loop. All true wisdom is repetitive, not because you didn't hear it the first time, but because you weren't ready. The most powerful truths don't change, they change you. You hear them again, and one day, they land. The seed cracks, the shell breaks. The loop ends not because the world changed, but because you did. This is the essence of spiritual practice, not to escape the world, but to become so embodied, so aware, that the ordinary becomes sacred. Brushing your teeth becomes a meditation. Walking becomes prayer. Breathing becomes an act of love. You live your life, not to reach some final peak, but to make every moment a doorway to presence. What if the pattern is you, not in the sense of flaw or failure, but as a mirror, a reflection? Maybe life keeps giving you the same story, because that's the only way you'll finally see yourself. The anger you suppress, the silence you avoid, the longing you bury, they return because they love you, because they are you. And when you stop resisting, when you stop pathologizing your patterns, you realize you were never trapped. You were being shown what still hurts, what still hopes, what still hides. And in that moment of realization, you become the pattern's author, not its prisoner. After all the books, the practices, the insights, after all the loops and awakenings, what's left? Simplicity. You realize it was never about fixing yourself, it was about remembering yourself. And the more you remember, the simpler life becomes. You don't need more, you need less noise, less proving, less chasing. You return to the basics: good sleep, gentle breath, honest love, creative play, laughter. You let go of the need to be extraordinary, because you finally realize being is enough. And in that enoughness, the loop doesn't vanish, it becomes sacred. You walk it with grace, you dance with the rhythm, you live the same day again and again, but now as a master, simple, whole, free. This is the loop, this is the gift, not a curse to escape, but a rhythm to embrace. You're not going in circles, you're spiraling upward, each time closer to truth, each time closer to home.